Okay. Good morning and welcome back to PALS TV, everyone. This lineup is jam-packed again here today with some amazing episodes coming to you from all over our state. We have some special guests joining us today, as well as programs and activities that will be done in some of our centers. I told everyone yesterday, we do have some of our content online now. So if you'd like to go back and watch some previous episodes, you can either go to our website, palschrysalishealth.com, and underneath the PALS TV, the videos are being uploaded there. And then if you go to YouTube and put in PALS TV episodes, there is a channel that you can subscribe to. And whenever we do upload new videos, you will be able to find them there. So each morning we've been joining Amanda in Steubenville for our travel and recreation and leisure segment. Amanda, I hope you got to celebrate last night and enjoy your day. You definitely deserve it. So just happy you were able to spend part of it with us here on PALS TV. We love our outings at PALS. We love our recreation, getting out. That's a huge part of our programs. And unfortunately right now, due to the virus, that's very difficult. Most places are closed. So we felt like the next best thing is trying to bring it to you in your living rooms. So Amanda's been doing a wonderful job giving us different tours around different museums and places throughout the United States. If you had any suggestions, if there's anything you personally would love to see, and we could hopefully be able to take you there, we will try to put that together. So give us your feedback if you want to write in the chats, places you'd love to go visit, maybe you'd love to take a vacation to. I always love hearing about those stories. So thank you again for coming on here this morning and joining us for another day of PALS TV. And to start it out, we'll be going live to Steubenville, Ohio, and joining Amanda for her tour of the United States Air Force Museum. Amanda?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming and joining with me today. All right, so let me get y'all set up here. All right, so let me get the screen up here. I'm gonna make you guys bigger. I'm gonna share my screen. Okay, thumbs up if you can see my screen. All right, good deal, good deal. Okay, so today, like I told you guys yesterday, we are going to be heading into the Cold War section of the Air Force Museum. Just a different area. So the Cold War was a time of, real tension between the US and the Soviet Union, now known as Russia. So we'll get to see some of the planes from that, just some different things. So right off the bat, we have right here an F-89J Scorpion plane. You see right there, it says US Air Force on it. I don't think it'll let me zoom in too much. See here, the F-89 is an all-weather fighter interceptor for the Air Force Command with the radar operator in the rear seat guiding the pilot. So that's about all I can read. So you have two seats here. One will be here, one will be here. You navigate the plane. Up here, we have a T-28 Trojan plane. We look over here, we have a Mark 41 thermonuclear bomb. So that would have been a nuclear bomb, and you can see right there when you drop it, that's what makes those big mushroom clouds. And unfortunately, those particular type of bombs cause a lot of damage wherever they're dropped. So right here, we have a B-36J Peacemaker. Hopefully when we scoot over there, we can get a little bit closer to it and find out some more information on it. We have an F-94 Starfire. Oh, there's a big guy. A SM-62 Shark. A 233 Shooting Star. And an information desk. All right, so let's head over to our next section. And there on that B-36J Peacemaker, we couldn't see over there at the time. You can see Strategic Air Command and the emblem right there. So right here we have the F-94 Starfire. And this is a towing tractor. That's what they would use to tow the smaller planes or even the bigger planes. You don't need a whole lot to tow it. We have a CF-100 Mk4A Chinook. And up here is an OA-12 Duck. So because it's got the word named Duck on it, and you can see right there, it's got this. So that tells me that it can land in water. And up here we have a T-34A Mentor. See if we can find out about the CF-100. I cannot, it does not let me get close enough. Don't you hate when that happens? Smithsonian was a little bit easier for us to get close to and read the information. All right, let's head to third section. So right here we have an FU-863 with none other than Dennis the Menace painted on it. He's got a hammer. Has anyone here watched Dennis the Menace before? Yeah? So the F-68D Sabre, it was used in the Cold War. It's got a General Electric engine. It can fly 800 miles, reach a maximum speed of 761 miles per hour, and it can go 50,000 feet in the air. So it can go pretty high. Scoot over here on this maybe a little. So the T-34A Mentor. The U.S. Air Force used the T-34A for primary flight training during the 1950s. The original Mentor, a Beechcraft Model 45, derived from the famous Beechcraft Bonanza. First flew in December 1948. The first military prototype designed by YT-34 by the U.S. Air Force made its initial flight in May 1950. In extensive testing, the U.S. Air Force offered the Mentor into production as the T-34A in the early 1953. The first production T-34A was delivered to Edwards Air Force Base in October of 1953 for evaluation, and deliveries to the Air Training Command began in 1954. Technical notes: it's got a Continental engine, a maximum speed of 191 miles an hour. It can fly 821 miles and has a ceiling of 20,000 feet. So let's see if we can find the T-34A. Zoom out here, put it up here. Oh. That's an FU-863. The T-34A has got to be one of these guys over here. All right, so let's head over to our next area. Bloop. All right, so over here we have an F-82B, and this plane has been named Betty Joe. It's a twin Mustang plane. Over here we have a flight jacket and some flight boots. And F-28B twin Mustang. And unfortunately, it's not let me get close enough to read it, but this would have been another plane that they used during the Cold War. Zoom in a little bit. There you go. So you can't really tell. Over here we have an RF-84K Thunderfish and an HU-16 B Albatross. So that's a pretty big plane. Here we have a U-6A Beaver. So I know I've talked about this before. See down here, we've got the little surfboards. Raise your hand if you know. So those little surfboards on the bottom tell me that it can land in what? Caitlin, what can it land in?
Water.
Water. Good job. Good job. It has the ability to land in water. Okay, right here. Got some more planes. Ooh, we have an LC-126 here. See if we can zoom in on this. So this is going to tell us a little bit about, this is a military Jeep, Willys quarter-ton Jeep. Would have gotten them around the places they needed to go. It was a all-terrain vehicle. We still have Jeeps today. Ooh, I think we're underneath one now. So if you see right here, these would have been missiles that could have been dropped. Danger, stand clear, explosive squibs installed. So these would have been missiles that they would drop them from the air, they would go down into the water. We have a plane right here, the US Air Force. Now I should be able, Thunder Flash, let's find out about it. The RF-84K was a reconnaissance and nuclear strike fighter that was intended to be carried toward a target as a parasite underneath the GRB-36 bomber. At the time, jet aircraft possessed relatively short range and aerial refueling was not yet proven, so this provided a method to extend their range. The United States Air Force applied this parasite concept to the FICON Fighter Conveyor Project, which became the RF-84K. The mission profile called for the recon aircraft or attack fighter to leave the carrier aircraft, a modified strategic bomber, upon reaching hostile territory, make a dash to the target and perform its mission. The aircraft was then returned to the waiting carrier, hooked up underneath it, and was carried back to the base. So right here, we got a picture of an RF-84K hooking up to a GRB-36. In 1952, it tested 2 F-84 FICOM prototypes. The U.S. Air Force ordered 25 RF-84Ks and began modifying 10 B-36s into the carriers. The RF-84K design was a modification of RF-84F, the U.S. Air Force's most numerous and advanced technical reconnaissance aircraft at the time. The only differences were the RF-84K's retractable hook in the upper part of the nose, stabilizing rods on either side behind the cockpit, and downward angled horizontal stabilizers. So there's some more pictures. So a little bit about it. This particular plane would have 4 50 caliber machine guns on it. It had a Wright Sapphire J65 engine with 7,800 pounds of thrust. It could reach 629 miles an hour. Can you imagine going that fast? And it could fly 2,000 miles. Plus, if it refueled in the air, it could go up to 10,000, and it could reach a height of 39,390 feet in the air. That is this guy right here. So let's head over to our next area. So right here, this is going to show us what the inside of the plane would look like. So there's our target radar. There's the oxygen that would be pumped to the pilot, air conditioner. We have a 250 watt inverter to give the plane electrical power. Compressed air for air starts. Right here would have been one of their guns. It was a 20 millimeter gun. So up here is where the pilot would have sat. There's the seat and all his stuff. And if you see right here, there's the cover that would fall down on top of him to keep him out of the wind and safe. Two-way radio. Some more cooling things. Lots of lots of stuff inside here that makes a plane work. And up there you see the inside of the wing. See how it's hollow, so it makes the plane lighter. Zoom in here. That's pretty neat. You usually don't get a chance to see the inside of a plane. Over here, we got a little bit of memorabilia too. You see a helmet and a trophy and a picture of what was probably the pilot of one of these particular planes. Okay, so let's keep on going. So up here we have another emblem. Look, same thing we saw earlier. So it was part of the Strategic Air Command. And this would have been an escape capsule right here. So a pilot could eject from his plane if he had been shot down, and a parachute would pop out. So let's find out a little bit about the B-58 escape capsule. When the supersonic B-58 Hustler entered service in 1961, it had individual ejection seats for its 3 crew members. However, ejection at speeds above 665 miles an hour was extremely hazardous. To improve ejection survivability, the Stanley Aircraft Corp developed a high-speed, high-altitude capsule ejection system that would allow safe ejection at supersonic speed. The first capsule was adopted for retrofit beginning in late 1962, making the B-58 the first U.S. Air Force aircraft with a capsule escape system. It was effective throughout the flight envelope up to 70,000 feet and twice the speed of sound. The capsule has airtight clamshell doors and independent pressurization and oxygen supply systems with survival gear packed inside. Raising a hand grip activated the restraint system harness, securing the occupant inside and closing the capsule doors. The crew member could continue the ejection procedure and be catapulted upward by a rocket out of the aircraft by squeezing an ejection trigger, or could remain encapsulated in the event of cabin pressure or oxygen loss until the aircraft reached a lower altitude. The pilot's capsule contained a control stick and other controls necessary to fly the aircraft while encapsulated. After ejection, a parachute lowered the capsule and shock absorbers eased the impact of the capsule on touchdown. The capsule floated if it landed on water, and additional flotation cells could be manually inflated to provide stability on water, turning the capsule into a life raft. So there you go. There's another picture. So this would pop down on them, keep them safe when they're way up high in the sky when it wouldn't be safe otherwise. So that's pretty nifty. I never knew it went down around and they could fly them. So let's head over to our next. Over to, let's see what we've got hanging out here. Let's see here. Spinning, spinning, spinning. So right here we have an RB57D. Can't see it real well, but not going to give us a whole lot in this section, is it? It's not being very nice to us. I can tell that we're under the wing of something. Onward. Okay, so right here, we have a McDonnell Douglas Air 2A Genie rocket. So being as it was right here, I'm assuming it would have gone with this plane. We have another fighter jet. A G914. I should be able to scoot in on this. So this is a T-41A Mescalero. So it says it can reach a maximum speed of 139 miles an hour. It can fly 720 miles and has a ceiling of 13,000 feet in the air. So that's how high it can go. think this might actually be a little piece right here of the Brooklyn Wall. Not Brooklyn Wall, I'm sorry, Berlin Wall. See if we can scoot over and see if it'll let us see a little bit more of it. Oh, come on now. Loading, loading. So apparently it doesn't want us to see that slide, so we're gonna hop ahead. There's nothing working. In 1 second, guys, let me try to leave full screen and I'll go back into it. See if it'll let us in. Okay. So it won't let us do the one slide, but it'll let us do this one. So this is an interesting plane. You see the guns right there. We see a very large bomb right here. It is a bomb live unit. I can't read too much about it, but over here we have a 105mm cannon. So that would be this right here. And there would be the shell that would come out of that. That is a very big missile. Well, not missile, but bullet per se, I guess. All right, so let's head on over here. Oh, so this plane has been named Misbehaving, and like many of the other ones found, it's got a chickie on it. It's an interesting color. Blends in. I've got a couple missiles down here. See if we can see some of this memorabilia here. Chandelier parts, wall piles, and mirrors from the Royal Emirs Terminal at the Kuwait airport. There's a Kuwaiti newspaper. Iraqi military journal. Anti-aircraft range card. This range card was found near an Iraqi aircraft gun that had been destroyed in an Allied bombing attack. Got a pair of sneakers. So this would have been a Desert Storm POW uniform right here. Got an ammo box and a helmet. Just some interesting things right there. All right, right here we've got very large plane. Looks like a cross between a helicopter and a plane. See what we got here. This is a CV-22B Osprey. Got some guys in a Jeep right there. We got another chopper right here. I cannot unfortunately see what that one is. Here we have a stealth glider. That one I do know. We got a escape module. This cockpit crew escape module on display is the first one ever used to save the lives of its occupants on October 19, 1967. Two General Dynamics contractor pilots flying F-11A SN63-9780 over Texas were required to eject the module when the plane experienced complete hydraulic failure and became uncontrollable. Ejection was made at 28,000 feet and 280 knots airspeed. The two occupants remained in the module as it parachuted to Earth and were not injured. In contrast to the one-man escape capsule that was installed in the B-58, the complete cockpit section of the F-111 separates from the plane's fuselage and is lowered safely to Earth by parachute. So you would have your people in there and your parachute would come out. And this was part of this plane right here. Okay, let's head on over to our next area. Battle at Takur Gar at Robbers Ridge. Find out a little bit here. We have an injured person. In honor of T.S. John A. Chapman's Medal of Honor Award, the Battle of Takur Gar, Roberts Ridge film is undergoing, but just shows us a little bit of that. It's not going to tell us a whole lot. So over here we have some uniforms. There you see the gun and the hats. We got some Army boots or Air Force boots. Over here, got some more. We got some jackets. Behind us. So this is a hat for a tactical control party, a weather warrior, combat weatherman hat, a first there combat controller and special tactics officer hat, and pararescueman and combat rescue officer's hat. Here we have some communication equipment. We see some walkie-talkies and headphones, cameras, binoculars. All right, so over here, we have the MH53M Pavlov IV. So you can see that plane. That was the one behind us that I couldn't get the name of, so now we knew now. Let's see, it won't let me get too close, so I can't really read a lot, but that is definitely a big chopper. Look how long the propeller blades are. Okay, let's keep going. So here is an example of the tents they would have been in. They're calling it the Baghdad Inn. It's kind of like what gave it a fun name. Wall panels from Southwest Asia. So these would have been part of the wall. See what we can zoom in on a little bit. You can see there's all kinds of graffiti, things of that sort. I think our view was actually better. Okay, so let's keep going. Oh, right here we have an airdrop package. Somehow I ended up out of full screen again. And we're gonna keep going. There's that plane we just looked at. I think we were just here. I think it bounced us back to where we were. It's cheating us, guys. It's cheating us. All right, there we go. So right here we have the Spirit of Freedom, the B-2 Spirit plane. That's a very big plane, and an SR-71A. This is U.S. Air Force. What do we got up here? If it'll tell us anything. I think this is close to the, because right there is where we started out, guys. So let's head over to the next. Check out some of the missiles and things of that sort. Aerojet Aero B research rocket. That's what this guy is right here. The Aero B was designed to carry instruments aloft to collect data on the upper atmosphere and to place small animals in a weightless condition for physiological studies. It was launched by a solid propellant booster engine of 18,000 pounds that thrust that burned for only 2.5 seconds. After the booster burned out, the Aero B continued upward, propelled by a liquid-fueled rocket engine of 4,000-pound thrust. The Aero B could attain maximum speed of 4,300 miles per hour and an altitude of 123 miles. Its loaded weight was 678 pounds. The Aero B was also used to conduct one of the earliest U.S. physiological experiments on the road to manned spaceflight. On May 22, 1952, at Holloman Air Force Base, New Mexico, 2 Philippine monkeys, Patricia and Mike, were enclosed in an Aero B nose section. Priscilla was placed in a sitting position and Mike in a lying down position to measure the effects of rapid acceleration upon them. Fired to an altitude of 36 miles and a speed of 2,000 miles per hour, These two monkeys were the first primates to reach so high in altitude. And down here you see the scientist with the monkeys. And right here is what the inside would have looked like. Over here we have a DYNA SOAR X20A. So this was a later model. You can see it's a bit smaller, a little bit more streamlined. Just some different rockets. I don't know how close it's going to let us get. Here we have a picture of a gentleman. We have a trophy. Oop, keep spinning. All right, so let's see the next section. We got some more missiles. So I'm going to back way out. Look how big those guys are. Those are missiles that they would send up into space, or wherever they're going, to be quite honest. Sentinels of Freedom, U.S. Air Force strategic missiles. Since 1959, U.S. Air Force strategic nuclear-armed missiles and the airmen who operate and maintain them have been on constant alert. This gallery features the U.S. Air Force missiles that help maintain peace among Cold War superpowers. They have shaped the world's strategic balance for more than half a century. So there are our missiles. Well, replicas of missiles, at least. So you can look right here. You can see the thrusters on them. That's where they get all their power to go where they're going. There's another thermonuclear bomb. We saw that earlier. Yeah, let's go to our next spot. There we got some more. Right here, it's going to show us, if I can zoom in a little bit, what the inside of the thruster would look like. Robert H. Goddard, the father of modern rocketry. It is difficult to say what is impossible, for the dream of yesterday is the hope of today and the reality of tomorrow. Robert Hutchings Goddard, 1882 to 1945. Physicist and inventor, Dr. Robert H. Goddard is considered the father of practical modern rocketry and spaceflight. In the early 20th century, he conceived many key concepts for later development of ballistic missiles, Earth-orbiting satellites, and interplanetary exploration. The U.S. Air Force's strategic missile and space launch capabilities are built on the foundations laid by this American pioneer. As a young man, he was inspired by science fiction and became convinced that space travel was possible with rockets. In 1914, Goddard patented the concept of multi-stage rockets and liquid-fueled rockets. In 1920, he wrote about the possibility of a rocket going fast enough to leave the Earth's atmosphere and even reaching the moon. The press ridiculed Goddard's idea, and the government paid little attention to his work. His ideas, however, found a following in Germany, which later took many of Goddard's ideas to develop the V-2 rocket, the only operational missile used during World War II. So he is one of the early fathers of rocketry. There's another view of the rockets. Let's go check out. So this is telling us a little bit how they launch it. So 1, 2, 3, and then the missile launch. Let's see what the steps are. So launching missiles, only the President of the United States can authorize a strategic missile launch. In the Minuteman II system, the launch sequence took less than 5 minutes. This is what would have happened. Step 1, the U.S. receives a warning of an attack from early warning satellites or ground radars. The North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD, alerts the President. The President executes an appropriate response. Step 2, the combat crew in the Launch Control Center hear an alarm, then receives a coded message over the loudspeakers giving the command to launch. They verify the messages is real, then unlock a small red steel emergency war order safe above the deputy commander's panel. In the trainer on display, the safe is above the crewman holding the telephone. Inside the box are 2 keys. So let's see if we can find the safe. Oh, right there. Okay, so let's see step 3. The crewmen strap into their chairs in case of a nuclear strike on the launch facility. They insert the keys into their consoles to begin the final countdown. As the commander calls out codes to verify the launch message, the deputy commander repeats them. Finally, the crewmen turn their keys simultaneously. No single person can turn both keys because they are 12 feet apart. Outside the Minutemen facility, another authority, either another launch control facility or an airborne control center, must concur in order for the launch to proceed. And finally, the last step, missile launch. The launch is approved. A launch in process display lights up. Explosive gas generators open all 10 massive concrete doors above the silos, and 10 Minuteman II missiles lift off. A missile away indicator lights up for each Minuteman launch. The missiles will reach their targets on the other side of the world in 30 minutes. There you go. You can see what it would look like inside. So here's just, some of our missiles are housed underground, and you can see you wouldn't know they were there. Missile alert facility model. So they would launch from underneath the ground. That would open up. So let's see. Let me see the Missile Man timeline here. So there's some more rockets, and right here, this is the top. We were downstairs, so this is the top, and you can see just how high those missiles are. They're very, very tall. Let's find out a little bit about the emergency rocket communications. This says the last resort. As the threat of Soviet nuclear weapons grew in the 1960s, the U.S. Air Force needed a way to ensure that its strategic forces could be controlled by a Soviet attack, controlled after a Soviet attack. The Emergency Rocket Communication System, ERCS, made sure that national and military leaders could send pre-recorded attack orders to Strategic Air Command, SAC bombers, and missiles if land-based and airborne command and control systems were destroyed. Just another way to communicate. I wanted to come over here and see if we can zoom in on that timeline a little bit. So, Minuteman timeline. 1958, Department of Defense approves development. 1961, first successful test flight. 1962, Minuteman I operational. 150 Minutemen 1A and 650 Minuteman 18 1B deployed in 16 squadrons. Minuteman II operational, 450 deployed in 9 squadrons. Last Minuteman I replaced by Minuteman II. Minuteman III operational, 550 initially deployed in 11 squadrons. Minuteman II system begins deactivation. Last Minuteman II removed from silo. 2007, U.S. Air Force begins deactivating 100 Minuteman III, and then 450 Minuteman III are currently operational as of 2008. Right here, it just shows where some of the different missiles are. I'm not going to give us too much information, I don't think. And we'll just do another look at her. Right here. All right, so on Monday when we come back, we are going to be heading to space and checking out some different stuff with that. So we will do that on Monday. Now I'm gonna raise your hand if you have a question and I can try to answer it. Does anyone have any questions or thoughts or anything like that? Okay, hold on. Let me unmute you, Jessica. Hi, Jessica.
Hi.
Hi. Do you have a question, honey?
I say that museum you had
Yeah.
um is pretty nice and cool.
Yeah, it is really neat to see it.
Yeah.
We can't go there, but we can explore on the computer, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Jessica. All right.
Well, thank you, Amanda. That was another great tour of the United States Air Force Museum. Um, Always appreciate the history lessons and learning something new every time you give us a tour. Um, I feel like I learned something in it, so thank you for that. I also see an Air Force member on our call today, so I want to thank him for his service, Mr. Lamort, former Air Force member. We appreciate your service. Thank you. And then some new members on the phone today. I saw some new faces, which we always like seeing. So Alex and Kristen, thank you for joining us. I love seeing you guys. And like I said, if we can't connect in person, this is the next best thing. So thank you again for joining us. We'll take a short break right now, and we will then be going live to Columbus for some weird science. So should be a lot of fun again. Thanks again, Amanda. Wonderful tour, and we will see you next week. Everyone else, we'll see you in 15 minutes.